graduated from Westminster last year. I live on campus here with my family, and since it is spring break at Colby College, I am home and able to read in chapel for my friend Paul. The following is a quote from history teacher Charles E. Griffith, my dad. Gentlemen, I would just add that they're going to have the height advantage on us, so that means we're just going to have to challenge every single ball in the air. And what it really comes down to is courage.
Good morning again, everyone. I'd just like to start off by saying it's lovely to see all these new faces here today on Visit Day, and I offer my congratulations on your acceptance to Westminster. You know, it's funny, the lines that Hannah just read, I've heard from the past presidents of John Hay for 5 years on Revisit Day now. The first being my own revisit, when T.L.E. Schroeder said, the famous, perhaps someday we may be listening to one of you up here, giving your own chapel talk line. And I remember clearly thinking, yeah, I definitely don't see myself stepping up to the podium to read in front of all my classmates, and if I ever had to do it for a revisit day in front of a bunch of prospective students and their parents, well, look how that turned out. On that note, my name is Paul McNamara, and I'm a sixth form day student from literally right up the road. No, seriously, my house practically backs up to campus. I'll follow that up with somewhat of a bold statement. I'm unofficially, the second closest day student in the history of Westminster to attend, not including faculty kids. I live on Winterset Lane, 6 houses to the right of the back gate near the Sherwin Health and Athletic Center, aka the Shack. Some of you may remember Rebecca Ryan. She graduated in the class of 2016 and lives 4 houses to the left of the gate. So she beats me by 2, but since she lives on the opposite side of the street, I think there's some room for interpretation there. Now, when people learn this fact about me, they always offer a few responses. Some of which go like, so do you walk to school? Do your parents work at Westy? Is it weird being a day student so close? And my favorite, Paul, our team ran by your house yesterday. My answer to these questions, I usually drive to school, although I will admit freshman year I did ride my bike, and I can only imagine how ridiculous I looked trying to juggle both my oversized soccer and giant school bag on my back. But if it's perfect weather and I get up early enough, which is highly unlikely, you may see me walking to Armour. No, my parents don't work at Westy, and previous to my attending, we had 0 official connection to the school. In fact, up until going to an open house in the fall of 2013, I adamantly opposed the idea of attending Westminster, but we'll get to that. Is it weird being a day student so close? Yes and no, it definitely has its perks. And lastly, the "we ran by your house" response. Cool. This wasn't always the case, however. There was a time when I did not attend Westy, and I didn't live on Winterset. I originally was born in Chicago, and almost immediately moved out to the western suburbs. But in August of 2011, a month before I started the 6th grade, we moved to a house in Simsbury, which we rented for 9 months. We moved twice more to rented properties until we finally got sick of all the renting and purchased a Center Hall Colonial on Winterset Lane. We officially moved in on January 5th, 2013. For middle school, I went to Kingswood Oxford, an all-day prep school in West Hartford. So for those 3 years before Westy, my mother, God bless her, drove me 30 minutes, not including traffic, each way to and from school. Some people joke that the real reason I ended up at Westy was because after 3 years of driving, my parents had had enough, and that definitely isn't true. My parents felt the choice to stay at KO or to come to Westy totally up to me. I will admit, the drive is a lot less stressful. Now, living within such a close proximity to the school, you would think I was destined to attend. I mean, why not, right? This was not the case at first. In fact, I told my parents many times I was not going to a school so close to my house. Don't get me wrong, I have made friends with several kids who lived on campus, as their parents were too. Through an invite to the infamous Winterset Streetball League, or SBL basketball games, I met Jack Warner, Jack G, Will Leathers, Leo Haber, and my best friend, Simon Haber. Even with these friends who all attended or would attend Westy, I still attend. Furthermore, who would want to attend a school that sits in your backyard? That choice was too easy. Sometimes in life, however, we really do ignore or write off what's in our own backyard, literally. To my dismay, in the fall of my 8th grade year, my parents signed me up for an admissions open house. I remember thinking, I hope my parents find the school as unappealing as I do, so I don't need to apply. Seriously, I was that against the idea of attending Westminster. I tried to hold on to that attitude for the entire evening, but I will admit, after seeing some familiar neighborhood faculty faces who also happen to live on Winterset, I started to open up to the possibility of maybe liking the school. The student panel in Sejan, sitting in on an AP Euro class taught by my now advisor, Mr. Griffith, and talking with students and faculty alike, I pretty much shed all of the negative opinions from my neighbor and was suddenly sure I had to attend. The interview process went smooth enough, I thought. I was greeted by one of my Simsbury travel soccer coaches before my tour, Mr. Doucette, who I now have as a calculus teacher. By the way, Mr. Doucette, I'm sorry I'm not as good at definite integrals as I was at youth soccer. I remember sitting on the couch in the waiting area, trying to figure out if the brain games on the table were sort of tests, and if Mrs. Ulrich was secretly watching me, see if I could complete them, and report back to Mr. DeVoe. But I guess I finished that little ball maze fast enough, because when early March came around, I got one of the best belated birthday presents I could ask for, my acceptance to Westy. Fast forward a little bit to later that spring, exactly 4 years ago, to when I had my own revisit day. Now, I'm not entirely sure how memorable this day will be for all of you in the grand scheme of things, but I know for me, I remember almost every detail. From making that long 3-minute drive from the garage to the parking spot, until leaving and shaking Mr. DeVoe's hand, telling him I will be attending next year. It's all crystal clear in my mind. I can tell you who my assigned student was, Brendan Jacobs, and meeting a fellow revisit kid in the day student lounge, Max Riggins. Joking around in math class with my neighbor Chris Hart, and meeting another student named Adrian Enschel in that same class, who ended up becoming head prefect of the school last year. It definitely was the best day of school I probably ever had. Now, as it turns out, the kid who would have never wanted to give a talk at chapel has now had a helping hand in 4 previous chapels, and finally giving my own, I can tell you, is more exciting than anything else. I'm one of this year's heads of Black and Gold, the Tour Guide Association at Westminster, and I would say around in late October, it really hit me that all the kids that I'm currently touring, I would never overlap with here. And it was, and still is, looking out into the crowd today, a bit surreal that I will never really get to know any of you. I definitely am ready to graduate come May, but it will be sad leaving behind all these friends and memories I made up on the hill. Although I must say, I think I have a thing for hills and birds, because I'll be moving from Williams Hill to Chestnut Hill and go from becoming a martlet to an eagle next year at Boston College. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. What I want to leave you all with is not necessarily how great my time at Westminster has been, but that sometimes we tend to search high and low, far and wide, for a solution to a problem, when really the answer might be right in front of us. I thank my parents, especially my father, Dad, Papa, for teaching me this lesson and dragging me to that open house so long ago. We don't usually see eye to eye, but I think this time you may have been right. I know the saying, it was right in your backyard the whole time, and yes, it may apply even too literally to my situation, but the fact of the matter is that instead of writing off what's the most obvious choices, sometimes choosing it makes the most sense. Thank you.